What's up everyone, welcome back to a brand new video on the channel. The domestic transfer window closes Friday 5 PM and I've not been through a single transfer video for the past 2 weeks. Gosh, I'm so unprepared. So what I'm going to do today is that I'm going to read through all the confirmed transfers since my last transfer video. We've got 2 pages worth of transfers to go over. We're going to go through some rumours. We've got up to 13 big rumours. There's going to be a lot of rumours going around in the final couple of days of the transfer window. And at the end of the video, by popular demand, especially from my stream last night on FIFA 21 predicting championship results, I'm going to talk a little bit about Project Big Picture. It's not going to be a load of detail, but I'm going to briefly offer my opinion on it. If you guys like what you want to see more championship content and want to see more football content from me, please make sure you do give this video a like, tremendously appreciate it. If you haven't done and you're new out to the channel, please subscribe to the channel. It would really make my day. On 291 subscribers at the moment. We've hit a rocket patch in subscribers at the moment. We really want to give one big push to give it to 300 subscribers. And if you don't know about my aspirations to get 1,000 subscribers, so I could do a collaboration with BenHD. Now, neither of us are going to be doing YouTube forever, so typically, if you can get me to 1,000 subscribers as soon as we can, that would really make my day, and we can actually get this collab done as soon as we can. And to do that, please share the channel. It would really make my day. But without any further ado, let's go through all the confirmed transfers I haven't talked about yet. So we'll start off with Watford gaining William Ekong, the centre-back from Udinese. Obviously, Watford own Udinese and Watford. Nottingham Forest have the same thing with their owner owning Olympiacos as well. Is it fair? I don't think so. A big departure of Nottingham Forest was João Carvalho. He left Nottingham Forest to join Udi Almeria. I actually thought it was only going to be one or the other in terms of Lamucci and Carvalho leaving, but we find out soon that both of them have actually left. We've got Callum Patterson. He managed to join Sheffield Wednesday from Cardiff to strengthen their attacking options and not having to rely on Jordan Rose and Josh Windass. I think that's a good signing. Rodrigo Requelme, the Atletico Madrid winger, has joined Bournemouth. I think it really massively helps Bournemouth's attacking options. I think he can definitely fill in for the likes of losing Ryan Fraser. Don't know if he's got the same qualities, but he can definitely move around with the ball. He's got a load of experience and a load of confidence. And I can't believe it. Preston have made a signing. I know, I can't believe it. I almost spilt my tea seeing this news. They've got Emil Riis-Jacobsen, the Danish striker from Randers FC in Denmark. He actually came on the fee of 1.35 million. He has played in the Championship before in Derby County's Academy. Whether if he can step up for the team, who knows? Luis Suarez of Watford has left Watford to join Granada, flying high in the Liga at the moment with a fee of 6.3 million. Get a lot of good money from it, but it's one of their top players gone now. Watford can't afford to lose many others, and you find out they have lost a couple more players as well, and I think there will be more players leaving before the domestic window ends. We've got Dan Barlaser, who was a really key part to Rotherham's promotion, even though their season was cut short. He was on loan from Newcastle, but they've actually made his loan permanent now, which is a fantastic signing for Rotherham's part. Victor Gyökeres, the highly rated Brighton striker who has played a lot in the Carabao Cup games. I saw him against Preston and Man United. He's joined Swansea on loan. I think that's a really fantastic deal for Swansea. Nicholas Eliasson of Bristol City, a really good servant to the club, has actually left to join French side Nimes. Real shame in my opinion. I was hoping to see more of Nicholas Eliasson, but I think they couldn't really turn this offer down. It was 2.7 million in the end. Brentford have gained Vitali Janelt, I think that's how you say his name, but he's from Germany. Defensive midfielder, and I think they were a little bit like in that area, so I think it was a good option for them. Thiago Silva from Nottingham Forest player has actually left to join Olympiacos, of course, the other club that their owner owns. Really surprising in my opinion. Yes, he had parts of good form, parts of poor form, but for me, he was like one of the better players at the end of the season when Nottingham Forest was just completely slumping, and the fact they got rid of him just like that, it's really surprising. Although I have a feeling you get a theme of them actually planning what they were going to do with Tozo Lamucci and his players, and now they've got someone like Chris Hughton in. I actually think their transfer strategy was built in the long term and really putting Lamucci on the short term and getting rid of him as soon as they can. So, more transfers to go through. Kylian Ludwig, I mean, I thought Barnsley secured his signing, but it looks like RB Salzburg have just taken it back. It's complete disarray with Barnsley at the moment because we have learned that Abu Diaby, caught of absorbing an illegal substance, looks like he's now getting a 2-year ban from football. I haven't really looked into it for what he has absorbed, but I don't think I should really look into his personal life that deeply. But it's a real shame for Barnsley that they've lost a player like him to 2 years. I mean, he can't play football at all for 2 years, which is a real shame for the guy. Alfred Samado is returned to the Championship. He's actually joined Reading on loan. He was there briefly at Nottingham Forest. Looked all right in the first half of it, but then he kind of slumped off again. It'll be interesting to see whether if he can deliver 10 out of 10 performances consistently for Reading. But I definitely think he's got the ability. I definitely think there's something about him. One of the big money transfers so far was Godfrey leaving Norwich to join Everton for a fee of £24.75 million. Does he naturally fit into the Premier League? For me, I do think he's a little bit mistake prone in my opinion, but he's definitely one of Norwich's best centre-backs, and me calling him the best is basically saying that they've not had a good defence at all. I mean, if you look at the Premier League defensive record, it was absolutely shocking, but I do think Godfrey was the shining star in that back line along with Jamal Lewis, who of course both of them have now gone to Premier League clubs, which makes sense. Albert Doma's returned to the Championship. He had joined Nottingham Forest, but he's now joined Queen's Park Rangers. He's had spells at Aston Villa. He's had spells at Cardiff last season. He's now joined Queen's Park Rangers on a free transfer. I think that's a really good deal for him. He's not the youngest of players anymore, but he's got an abundance of experience, which I think will help Queen's Park Rangers. Tom Estes, a right back from Portugal, from Porto, has actually joined Reading on loan as well. Reading are getting some really key players in, especially from top European clubs. He's a young player, so I don't think he will be starting many games, but they did have a problem with right back recently with having so many injuries in that position. So I think this is a good signing to actually strengthen their options. And he's definitely got a European pedigree about him. So really good signings from Reading. There seems to be a feel-good factor around Reading at the moment, which I'm really liking to see. Feiyu has left Watford to join Udinese on loan. But in my opinion, even if Watford do get promoted or if they stay around in the Championship, I think he will join Udinese on permanent terms, especially if he enjoys the season. Let's say if Udinese get relegated from Serie A, I think then he'll return to Watford pretty easily. But I think if he establishes himself in Serie A, he can have a breakout season. I think he'll stay in Serie A in my opinion. Marcel Ritzmaier has left Barnsley to join Rapid Wien, which is a real shame. He was one of the best January transfers for Barnsley in my opinion. Josh Knight, the right back at Leicester's youth squad, has joined Wycombe Wanderers on loan. Is he going to fix Wycombe Wanderers? No. He could be a positive player. He's got a load of potential, a very young player. He could be someone that can definitely help Wycombe, but whether he's going to turn this season completely, I don't think he will, unfortunately, but I'm excited to see how he gets on. Chris Willock, obviously, who had a season loan at Huddersfield, has actually joined Queen's Park Rangers, and it looks like they've actually got him on the fee. We don't know, it's an undisclosed fee though, but they managed to get him from Benfica back to the Championship with Queen's Park Rangers. Queen's Park Rangers, I do have to say, are making some pretty good moves right now. And then we can see the identity of Nottingham Forest. Them losing João Carvalho and Thiago Silva, attacking midfielders. They've got a defensive midfielder in from Olympiacos, Cafu, and now they've got a defence-minded manager in Chris Hughton. I don't think we're going to see the prettiest of football from Nottingham Forest, if I'm going to be honest, but whether it's going to keep things tight at the back and they can hit teams on the break, I think it can definitely benefit Nottingham Forest. He's got the experience for it. Chekin Doy, the centre midfielder from Birmingham City, has joined Red Star FC on a free transfer. I mean, I remembered in FIFA 18 where he was the highest rated Championship player. That still baffles me to this day. How on earth was he given a gold rare card of 78? I have no idea. Danny Welbeck has left Watford. He's currently with our club. He's been linked with a couple of clubs, but I've not seen enough reports for me to actually do my transfer rumours. Hanodis Willock from Turkey has left Brentford to join FC Twente on loan. He actually scored yesterday for the Turkey youth squad against England under-21s, where Eddie Nketiah managed to get the highest goal scoring record for an England youth player, which congratulations to him, by the way. Bruno Martinsidi from Stoke has left to join AC Alkmaar on loan. Antonis Sergeus, the goalkeeper from Greece, has joined Blackburn on loan, so they've strengthened their goalkeeper options, which I think is good for Blackburn. Tim Close has left Norwich to join FC Basel on loan. I was expecting this to happen. He's not the youngest of players anymore, but a real good servant to the club, so it'll be a really big miss for him. Couple more recent ones. Callum Britton, right back from MK Dons, has joined Barnsley. I actually think he's a good signing. I actually think one of the League One's top players, and I'm surprised it took any Championship club this long to get him. Patrick Roberts has rejoined Middlesbrough on a one-year extension loan. If you heard my reaction on the stream yesterday, you would have heard that it was a fantastic signing for me. And then we had two departures from Watford. Daniel Janmaat, who's now with our club, and Craig Dawson, who's now got a one-year long loan at West Ham. But that's all the deals now that I've caught up with. But now let's go through to the rumours. So speaking of West Ham, they've been linked with so many players. You know, they've started very slow. Their only signings look like to be Thomas Souček and Vladimir Kufal. But now all of a sudden they're linked with so many Championship players. First off being Said Benrahma. If you saw my Fall Guys stream, you would have heard my reaction. It looked like West Ham have made huge developments to gain the guy. I think they'll get him for 25 million, which sounds about right for me. But of course, with the quality of 80 years, the deal is probably going to stall. But they don't have many days left to try and get the player. They've got to try and secure the deal. Now, they've also been linked with Josh King. Now, the problem with that deal is because they've been so persistent trying to get Benrahma, that deal could now collapse and the likes of Brighton and West Brom could capitalise because they've been previously linked with Josh King. I think both of them will leave. I mean, I don't know about Josh King. I feel like Benrahma's more likely to leave Brentford than Josh King is to leave Bournemouth. But it'll be interesting to see where both of these sides are by Friday, 5 p.m. West Ham are also believed to sign Bournemouth defender Steve Cook. Steve Cook's made a pretty good start actually at Bournemouth so far, so I'd actually be a bit surprised if they let him go unless West Ham have a big money offer. He's 29 years old, so he's not the youngest centre-back, but he's got an abundance of experience, was big for Bournemouth in their Premier League campaign. I think he could definitely be a good fit for West Ham. One of the rumours I've been seeing recently was that Queen's Park Rangers are closing in on a deal for 18-year-old Southend United prospect Charlie Kelman. I saw a load of comments actually about this guy already. Heard a few things about him actually. I knew he scored a goal at the halfway line against Plymouth. I saw that goal again. I mean, it's brilliant, let me tell you. But Southend have had a very tumultuous couple of years, getting relegated from League One, tried to survive under Sol Campbell, but it just wasn't enough. Not starting League Two all that well either, not having a win so far. And all I'm saying, if Project Big Picture goes ahead, then Southend will have to seriously step up if they want to try and avoid relegation. But I really like Charlie Kelman, and I think with a side like Queen's Park Rangers, we've got a load of attacking options. I think he can definitely suit the Championship. Not to go far as being linked with abundance of players since Chris Hughton's coming. He's actually not made signings yet, but he's worked with so many top Championship players that he could definitely attract. Anthony Knockaert springs to mind. I definitely think he could definitely try and lure him away from Fulham. I think he can definitely step up with a team like Nottingham Forest. Other players include Andrew Sermon, Berham Kayal, Snodgrass as well, and Jacob Murphy. I mean, Jacob Murphy, Snodgrass and Sermon, he's worked with Norwich, and of course, Berham Kayal is a player that Hughton's worked with when he was at Brighton. All three, any of these players really, if they were to join Forest, I think would definitely improve their chances of getting promotion, in my opinion. It'll be interesting to see if Hughton gets one or if any of the players he's previously worked with. He's not made a load of deals take place since he's come in, but it'll be interesting to see how Forest react in terms of the final few days of the season. I mean, they have made the most signings out of everyone, so maybe they need to be a little bit careful. Harry Wilson has been linked with so many sides, including Derby County, who of course did have him on loan where they had Frank Lampard as a manager, and was absolutely unbelievable. Him and Mason Mount were just absolutely unplayable at times in the Championship, and if Derby were to have him back, he would be an absolute coup to get. But of course, many Championship sides are interested in him. I think Swansea's another one who's interested in Harry Wilson. I think there'll be a little bit of an appeal there following that they are a Welsh side and Harry Wilson is Welsh himself. So it'll be interesting to see if Harry Wilson goes, and if he does go, which Championship club goes for him, because whoever gets him, and I said it in my stream yesterday, they would have bargained a fantastic player on their hands. Fulham are closing in on the signing of Terence Congolo. That's another name I was talking about in the stream yesterday, for just £3 million. I mean, what a fall that is. I remember Huddersfield getting him for about 15 million. What a loss of money that would be, unfortunately, for Huddersfield. Sheffield United look like they were previously linked, but they are concerned with his fitness, so it looks like Fulham are now the favourites to try and get him. There's a couple more rumours left to go for. Liverpool have been linked with Jack Butland following Adrian's very poor performance against Aston Villa. I mean, I could have said much worse there, but it was a poor performance and proved, and now it looks like they are linked with Jack Butland. I mean, Jack Butland has just had a fall from grace, in my opinion, but I think moving him back to the Premier League could be a perfect opportunity to see if he can gain his old form like he was. Because I would happily say he was probably one of the top goalkeepers in the Premier League before Stoke were relegated, unfortunately for him. But he's just not had that same character, that confidence, and he's now number 2 choice goalkeeper now because Davies has stepped up significantly. I think a move to the Premier League is exactly what Butland needs to prove himself. You know, this is the longest he's been without in the England squad. He'll be determined to try and get back into that England squad. Another rumour goes around Jake Clarke-Slater, a player I know quite well from being a Chelsea supporter myself. He played very well for me when he was at Chelsea when we played our friendly against Brighton. One of our top defenders, actually, especially in playing with the ball. Birmingham, Sheffield Wednesday and Huddersfield look like to be the 3 teams that are interested. Derby also look like that they are interested as well, and look like they were ahead in the race, but deal has stalled a little bit. If anyone does get J. Clark Slater, he'd be a great player. He wasn't too great at Birmingham last year or the year before. It was one of those years, but he definitely has something about him, and I think whoever gets him, if they can get the best out of him and can get him to improve his concentration, I think it'll be a great signing. Joe Rodon, undoubtedly one of the top centre-backs in the league. He played in the Welsh squad recently. Tottenham Hotspur look like that they are now the favourites to try and get him. But it looks like a deal that can take place is that they could do a swap deal for Joe Rodon and Cameron Carter-Vickers. Now, for me, they don't have the same matching qualities. So I think Swansea would want to have an extra fee put onto that, maybe something like 10 or 18 million, because I think that's what they value Joe Rodon actually. But Cameron Carter-Vickers, having said that, has actually played at Swansea before and he's had a successful spell there. So maybe that's actually a good swap deal. But for me, yeah, I think it benefits Spurs more than it does benefit Swansea too. We've got to be a bit careful with that. Middlesbrough are looking like that they're going to try and plot a shock move for Danny Rose. They were previously linked with Baba Ratman, the Chelsea player who has played a lot on loan, especially around in Germany and Schalke. But it looks like for a left-back option, they're looking like that they're going to try and go for Danny Rose, who's just not been playing enough football for me. And if you saw the All or Nothing documentary, you know how frustrated he is that he's not getting enough football. And maybe a team like Middlesbrough can definitely get him more minutes in the game. He may think it's a bit of a fall from grace, but if he could just embrace it, then I think you can definitely relish from that. Swansea are among 4 Championship clubs to also try and make a move for Liverpool defender Nathaniel Phillips, a player I've heard a little bit about. I think he's attained a load of his interest because of his fantastic season last season when he was on loan at Stuttgart. We managed to get them promoted from the second Bundesliga to Bundesliga. So I think he could definitely be a good option, definitely has the pedigree and the impact for taking a team like Stuttgart, who was a team that looked all over the place and not looking like that they can get promoted following their fall from grace 2 seasons ago. The fact he can shore things up and was a big part of the rock at the back to get Stuttgart their tight defence and for them to get promoted. Maybe he'll be a good signing for one of the Championship clubs. And we end the Championship rumours on Todd Cantwell. I mean, the Todd Cantwell saga has been going on for a couple of weeks now. It looks like Norwich are demanding around 25 million for him. So if Leeds cannot meet their valuation, it looks like Todd Cantwell is going to stay. I think they've sorted things out with Buendia, who looked like he was going to leave, but Cantwell is still in doubt whether he's going to stay at Norwich. So it's going to be very, very interesting in the next couple of days if Leeds can make a breakthrough. Maybe it could be like a deadline day signing or something. It's definitely going to be one of the biggest talking points in the transfer window or the domestic transfer window at the end of it. Those are all the signings and the rumours. So now I'm going to go through about a couple of minutes, talk about my views on Project Big Picture. Project Big Picture has divided a load of opinions, and you would have heard my opinion if you saw my stream yesterday. Obviously, there's a load of pros in these proposals. One of the biggest pros is the amount of money distributed to Championship clubs from the Premier League. Previously, it was only 4%, which for me is disgraceful. But now will automatically increase to 25%, which I think will make a huge difference. Don't get me wrong, that side of it is really, really good. Obviously, there's a couple of more positives that could definitely be good in the long run. There'll be a £20 cap on Premier League away tickets, which I think would definitely benefit the fans a lot more. There'll be subsidised Premier League away travel well and safe standing sections like what you would see in Bundesliga already, which would definitely help the lower league clubs with getting more fans into their stadium again, which can be a positive. Don't get me wrong, with this thing, they like to focus on the negatives, but I'm going through a positives first, but then I'm going to go for the negatives. I'm trying to get a balanced view on this. Going through all the positives, there is a huge negative. And what it looks like to me is a deal that will heavily benefit the richest clubs, but they've sugarcoated it in a way that they are going to help the lower league clubs as well. Now, the thing is, my big problem with that is, it looks like that they're trying to be nice in a way, that they're trying to support the clubs. And the reason it's so attractive because due to COVID, I mean, this was an overgrowing problem like before COVID, really. I mean, the gap between Premier League and the EFL was just getting larger and larger every single year. So what they're trying to do, they're trying to close that gap. But what it's going to do for the Premier League, it'll be huge consequences. But also, between the Championship and League One as well, that gap was getting even bigger as well. And of course, with League One, League Two, that's getting bigger as well. And you've seen at the end of it that we've seen clubs just completely break out. We saw what happened with Bury last year. Bolton nearly had the same fate, which they themselves were in the Premier League less than 10 years before this happened. So it's absolutely shocking, you know, between the lack of funds that they have for these lower league clubs. Obviously, when clubs get relegated, especially from the Premier League to the Championship, they're given parachute payments, some having a better advantage than others with Championship clubs that don't have that parachute payment. Some like to gamble and try and make a push, but when that gamble doesn't pay off, you see financial fair play breaches and point deductions. And that's what we've seen pretty recently also. So distributing the cash, I think, would definitely help. But the problem is there's a big load of power involved with the top 6 clubs. They can almost override any sort of government proposal, and they are in charge. And they ask for like a change of boards for the Premier League as well. It's a real money grabbing situation for the top 6. They can get so much money if their proposals go through. And that is a huge problem for the Premier League especially. I mean, recently we've seen the Premier League, you know, with big clubs splashing money, Man City, Chelsea, all those clubs, and they are always the teams up there. But last season there was a bit of a teaser that maybe the top 6 weren't as secure as we thought. We saw teams like Leicester, Sheffield United, Wolves pushing those top 6 clubs, trying to fight for their position. And we saw teams like Arsenal and Spurs drop down from their positions quite substantially. So it actually shows that maybe the top 6 is more vulnerable than we thought. But if these new proposals take place, forget it. No other Premier League club is going to be able to compete with the money and the funds. And it's just going to, ultimately, they'll benefit from it. And then the rest of the clubs will just have to keep in their place. And it's just the football show run by the top 6 clubs. But democratically, it's also unfair as well. If you don't know how the democratics work, obviously, with every Premier League club, you need 14 votes for it to go through, which is completely fair. But there's a clause in that. Out of the 9 longest serving Premier League teams, so that's the top 6 plus Everton, Southampton and West Ham, if 6 of the 9 vote for this proposal, they have it. They have the proposal. And I think that's completely unfair in my opinion. That is really out of order in my opinion. How could they even oblige that? It's just not enough. 6 out of like potential 14 other clubs voting no, we don't want this, and it's overruled just like that. That's not good for me, in my opinion. There'll be big changes to the football pyramid as well. We would only have 18 Premier League teams with 2 getting relegated, and then 18th place team having a relegation playoff merged in to the top 6 in the playoffs. In fact, there will be no 6th place team going to the playoffs anymore, which will be a real shame for those clubs in the Championship. So it'll be 5th, 4th and 3rd in the playoffs, plus the 18th place finished Premier League side competing in a playoff campaign. And for me, keep the relegation and the playoffs as it is. It's one of the best things in football. Why do you want to bloody change it? And the problem with that is, I talked about Southend, that if Project Big Picture takes place, they've got to be careful because of the changes of the football pyramid. 4 teams from League 2 will get relegated. And I don't know if you've seen the difference between League 2 and National League. Financially, it's devastating. It's being run by Liverpool and Man United's owners, which has been going around since 2017, albeit. So I feel like now they've taken the opportunity with the financial implications of the clubs, and they're now trying to sugarcoat it. That will help them and they will save the clubs in the process. And that is why Chairman of the EFL, Rick Parry, is supporting this. Premier League are not happy with this at all. I mean, as of now, they're actually holding an open meeting about it, and one of the members has talked about Rick Parry should resign from the EFL. There's going to be a load of tensions going around in the past couple of weeks, in my opinion, with this. For me, this could be supported by just getting rid of some proposals, really, without benefiting the top 6 clubs, because it's even going through media and all other things. You know, if they just got rid of that and just allowed, you know, the revenue to be distributed more evenly around the Premier League and the EFL, I'll be like, yes, go ahead. Or in a way, don't have it at all and get the government to actually give more money to these clubs. They did, to be fair, last season, but they need more than that. I'm sorry. They can look at football being a business, But football's different from a business. Football is life and they need to actually deal with it. But that is my views on Project Big Picture. I think I talked more about it more than I thought, but if you guys like what you see, want to see more videos from me, especially, do give this video a like, it's tremendously appreciated. If you haven't done, please subscribe to the channel, really make my day. I want to push to 300 subscribers as soon as we can. And if you haven't done, please share the channel, really make my day. But thank you guys so much for watching. You guys are legendary. So the end of this video, and as always, take care, guys.